Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're just waiting for the Sheikh. As soon as he comes, inshallah, we probably start in the next few minutes, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan for turning up early. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward everyone. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Alhamdulillah, welcome everyone to another edition of our fortnightly usrah. Alhamdulillah, last session we started with a very important topic that cut across generations, lands, very topical issue on the modern faces of Zina. Now, Alhamdulillah, our Ustadh, our Sheikh, our Doctor, Zafaran Adeniyi did start by introducing us to the concept of not getting close to zina rather than committing zina in the first place. And he gave us several verses related to that, as in Quran chapter 25, verse 68, Quran 17, verse 32, Quran 5, verse 90. So that concept of not moving close to something that is haram, so that we are not tempted to actually go into it. And he gave us that principle that avoidance is the solution, rather than rather than committing this sin and then seeking repentance. And he then went on to talk about the other aspect of zina. This is, I'm summarizing just for those of us who were not present last time. Other aspect of zina, like the zina of the eyes, the zina of the ears, the zina of the tongue, hand, legs. In fact, almost all part of our body could partake in zina as well. And he then went on to give us some of those preventative strategies that Islam has put in place to safeguard us from actually going to zina. And one of them is that Islam acknowledges the human feeling that definitely we do have that feeling. So Islam is not shy to that fact. Another thing is that Islam actually encourages sex in the halal version. In fact, if you do it in the married in the matrimony, inshallah, the more you do it, the more reward you get. So Islam does that as well to prevent this issue of zina. Another thing Islam is put in place, lowering of the gaze for both men and women, and for both men and women dressing appropriately. It discourages free mixing between the genders. It encourages marriage, even though the opposite is the case now. Marriage is very difficult for people to get into, but Islam actually encourages marriage. And this, the issue of other issues as well that has been mentioned. Islam prohibits seclusion with a non-mahram, somebody that you could get married to. You shouldn't be in seclusion with them. And then, all the punishment and everything that Islam has put in place. So these are some of those things that the Sheikh discussed with us last time. And he went on to give us some of the some case studies, inshallah. And some of those things that actually facilitate people committing zina or getting into that circle of zina. So inshallah, we'll continue from there today. And alhamdulillah, we have our doctor with us now. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to preserve him for us, increase him in knowledge and wisdom. And I would encourage us to get our papers and pen and make some notes, inshallah. We would allow questions at the end of the session. So bear with us. Doctor, Bismillah, are you ready? Dr. Zafaran, you can go ahead now, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Is my audio clear?
Very clear, sir. Very clear, sir.
Beautiful. I was trying to change the laptop and I was afraid that it was not very clear. Okay, good, loud. So alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. We thank Allah for the mercy we have enjoyed today and we're enjoying. We ask Allah in His infinite mercy to be our guide and guard in all that we do. Namadahu ala alayhi alayna wa nasal al-mawla an yudimahu alayna. My dear brothers and sisters, today inshallah we are proceeding on our talk the other time on the faces of zina in the modern times. Today inshallah we will be addressing zina, sins, scenarios, and safety. Zina, sin, scenarios, and safety. To do this, inshallah, we begin with background. And the background, of course, we have 4 issues there under the background. After which, we look at the sins and scenario, about 19 there. And of course, safety value, we are looking at about 8 panacea out of this very quagmire, inshallah. We pray to Allah that He blesses us all to make all this time from zina in any form. The first thing is, last time we discussed some aspect of zina and how Islam has helped us out. Because Allah who creates us wouldn't have wanted us to suffer that kind of situation that we want to enjoy ourselves or not be able to enjoy ourselves. He creates us, he knows we'll suffer the instant of hunger. He provides several things for us to drink that are lawful, halal. He knows we will suffer the instinct of hunger, thirst. He provides what to eat and what to drink. And of course, that of sex also is an instinct. It provides us ways to enjoy this thing, and which of course we explained the other time. Today, on the background for today's discussion, one, we'll see that the first point here is the phenomenon of permissiveness and liberalism. The phenomenon of permissiveness and liberalism is the first thing we want to look at today before we now go to the scenes and scenarios. By this, we are talking of the situation we find ourselves today, the environment as being sexually permissive, such that it promotes zina necessarily as the norm. It's not a matter of being exceptional. So society of the world today globally promotes zina as a vogue, as a norm, as a culture. And for that, we now see people in their own perception treating love as something political, because we have types of love, the psychological, the biological, as well as the political. Another political love, they believe that a woman is free like air, air, A-I-R. She's free like air. And by that, there's no need for formal marriage. A woman or man, there is no need for them. That's the concept under political love. Because some things we do at times have their, principle upon which people are applying them. So they believe that they should not get married. And that when there's no marriage, there'll be no formal marriage. Then, because they believe marriage to them is a social bondage. And when you get married to a man or to a woman, you'll be bound. If you go to the court or you go to other things, you have to take care of the family, the children, and things like that, some responsibilities. They believe there's no need for that. So a woman is now told that your body is free for you. Use as you want. That's the concept under political love. And of course, as a Muslim, we can now see the effect today. That's why you see women today, they believe they own their body. So she can blow it any direction she wants to go. Just like the direction of the winds, she can move towards the north, towards the south, towards the east, towards the west. So we can see the way they blow the whole thing today, which shows in their appearance from the head to toes. They try to blow and show it. But to a Muslim, we know that our body is an amana. It's an amana. That is the first thing to us as Muslims. When we are authority or politics, we know it's an amana. When we have children, it's an amana. When we have a husband, it's an amana. When we have a wife, it's an amana. When we have wealth, even that you have acquired lawfully, is an amana. So everything in life is amana, because in Surah Al-Ahzab, Allah says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Inna aradna al-amanata 'ala as-samawati wal-ardi wal-jibal fa'abayna an yahmilnaha wa ashfaqna minha wa hamalaha al-insanu innahu kana zaluman jahula." Allah says that we gave the trust to the mount, to the sky, to the heavens, to the earth, and to the mountains, but they were afraid. They shivered out of fear for Allah that they can't actually discharge the responsibilities of the amana. So Allah gave it to man. Innahu kana zaluman jahula. But man, because he's an ignoramus, not just ignorant alone, and of course, very unjust to himself. Because anytime we break the bounds of Allah, is a reflection of ignorance and wrongdoing. Because the consequence returns to us, not to Allah. Allah doesn't really have any wife to marry. Lam yalid wa lam yulad. It doesn't have any wife to marry or anything to suffer. Economic meltdown, who suffers it? Political crisis in the world. It's human that suffers. But because of our good, he puts some things in place for us to be guided. So, to a Muslim, we see our body as a trust from Allah. Beyond anybody even monitoring us, we have that concept. Then we see it to make us, and by so doing, seeing your body as a trust, when you uphold it, it will make your life distinct from that of animals. Animals don't have the trust they want to protect. So they can just go anywhere. Any dog can pick any dog. Any chick can pick any chick or any hen or any cock. Any dog can pick anything, any goat. So you can see the animal kingdom, how they do the thing. So Allah doesn't want man to be like that because he, like we said the other time, Karramina Bani Adam. And of course, that is a concept that we live by as Muslims. So in Islam, formality of sexual legitimacy liberates one from animalistic culture. That is our first background. Formality of sexual enjoyment. I want to meet this lady. We have a feeling, we want to satisfy. I have an urge, I want to satisfy. I feel like touching, I feel like this, I feel like that. Yes, these things are natural, they are normal. But as a Muslim, because it's trust, you follow procedure. You approach the ladies, wali, then you make the formalities of, okay, I want to marry you, want to marry me, the final consents, you pay the dowry, the mahari, and the like. Then you then take her to your house. So that is the formality there. That now makes you to enjoy sex without fear, to enjoy sex and have children, to enjoy sex and enjoy the way you like, in the normal way. Even that one too has what guides you on how to enjoy even the sex too. For example, you will not be allowed to have anal enjoyment and things like that. That is the first point. The first point is that the permissiveness of the way people go about love and sex today makes zina alluring. The second point on that background is shamelessness. You see, Prophet ﷺ told us that إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحِي فَاسْنَا مَا شِئْتَ. He said, if you are not ashamed, then you may decide to go out nakedly, may decide to just pin, you give yourself, make yourself available for a man to pin you down to a corner, into anywhere. This is what animals do. So Prophet said, if you are not ashamed, flaunt the thing, show the thing. Whether it's skinny body or fatty body or anything, just show it, let them see it. What Allah has hidden, you now unveil. So Prophet now says, it's a sign of shamelessness when people don't see the need to protect things. And secondly, under that very one too, people just feel that it's a fun. It's like when you enjoy, just to sleep down, the man sleeps over you, just the whole thing, 5-30 minutes, 1 hour, just gets up and that's all. Open the labs and let him do something. It's just to satisfy the lust. Everybody's doing it. What's the big deal? What are you talking about? I own my body, right? Even if a man, you don't know before it does come around and you just feel like, okay, talk to a woman 2, 3, 5 minutes, before you know you're hugging, you are moving around. Some says there's something wrong with your brain. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says, quoting the Prophet ﷺ, that he said, you should be bashful about Allah in the true sense of the word. In our parlance, in Yoruba language in Nigeria here, only pay you by that very one, the companions said, MashaAllah, Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah. We are bashful of Allah, we are mothers, we don't, proud not to learn that. He knew what they said, he knew their answers, they misunderstood his own, statement. In that sense, it's not what you think, but what I mean is, أن تحفظ الرأس وما وعى وتحفظ البطن وما حوى وتذكر الموت والبلى فمن فعل ذلك ومن أراد الآخرة ترك زينة الدنيا فَمَنْ فَعَلَ ذَلِكَ فَقَدْ سَحْيَا مِنَ اللَّهِ حَقَّ الْحَيَاءِ. That is the hadith. That it says it is for you to safeguard, to protect, to shield, to make sure you protect the head and everything therein. And in the shadow that have this, they explain that it means that when you pick the head, look at the hadith of the Prophet, Jamil Kalim, he's talking about the head, just mention the head. Or Mahawa. In the head, you have the eyes. In the head, you have the ears. In the head, you have the mouth. In the head, you have the brain. This all, Prophet said that you must protect your eyes from seeing what it should not see, from saying what it should not say, and from equally hearing what it should not hear. When you talk of zina, you must use your ear. The love tools must enter before you can give your heart. If you are talking of zina, you have to sight, you have to see, you have to look, you have to gaze. If you are talking of zina, you have to have sugar-coated mouth, you have to have a way of toasting that to make the other person to fall. You know, they say they fall for you, right? So, and for you to be actually be bashful of Allah, you protect these things. And second, it says that whatever the bottom of Mahawa, you equally safeguard your bottom. Here it can mean your stomach. Only has to do with all that attached to the stomach, to the belly, your legs, your hands. Where do you go? What do you touch? All these things are included, and of course your private part, because it's bottom also. It's part of the body, part of the stomach parts, because it's bottom equally means something hidden. So you have to protect that hidden part of you. And the third one is this is that you remember that, and that one day you will decay in the grave. These are the motivation for one to avoid zina. If you are not patient to avoid in this very world, you must necessarily be ready to face the consequence in the grave. If in the world you have disease, you have gonorrhea, you have syphilis, you have all those diseases in the world, even some that you don't even know yet, it's still better for you if you repent before you die. But in the grave, if you don't repent, the consequence is very tedious, very serious. So, Prophet says that you remember alimautu, that you will die one day and you will account. The last one said, whoever equally wants akhirah, you should not let the greatness of the world to deceive you. And last one they said was that, and that it's when you do this, then you now are bashful of Allah. So, my dear brothers and sisters, this clearly gives antidote to issue of zina, protecting the brain, protecting the ear and others. So in a sane society, policies, governments, culture, civilization must make it uneasy for people not to be able to fall into misusing this very part of the body. The third background is that as long as fornication is not criminalized, it will remain to be spreading like Amatan fire. You know, in the world today, most countries of the world do not criminalize, fornication. They only talk about rape and maybe pedophilia. That's what is of concern to them. But when a man and a woman feels that they want to just have a fun, enjoy themselves, they meet at the party, at the dance, at the club, it's very funny. The first instance, that's an angle. So they meet there, and of course, they enjoy themselves. So if it's not criminalized, then they just enjoy themselves the way they like. And of course, in Islam, there's one thing. Even when you talk of criminalizing zina, you see, in Islam, it's even difficult to prove at times. Islamic provision such that to prove zina, you have to take some steps. But today in the world, what happens? The most common immorality, more than alcohol, more than even other things that happens, is zina. And you have several centers. People have known centers that come to this place. We are available. Just come and enjoy us. We have them like that. Prophet now told us that min ashrati sa'ati an yadhhara zina. You can say that Prophet mentioned zina and alcohol together because most of the clubs and whatever now, these are things that happen there, the green light, the everything like there. So he said one of the signs of the end time is that zina will become so manifest, widespread, and of course, people will take to alcohol. That, of course, is a third background. Prophet now gave us a prophecy which has come true and is having negative on our society today. Zina threatens family equilibrium. A married person goes out, some meet married women outside there. Some will be pregnant for wrong people. You see, this equilibrium creating for the family. Youthful morality is damaged. Youthful person that should be trained to morally conscious, who are to become our hires tomorrow, are damaged at useful time. It's like aborted at useful time. Then economic development is affected too, because zina has effect on economy, whereby somebody working day and night squander the money because of a woman. Somebody working somewhere because of a woman will do some other things. So in one way or the other, it affects that one too. And the home front may suffer it. And spiritual balance equally suffers too. When zina is prevailing, you see it, you sight it, you hear it, you feel like doing it, then your spirituality is like a pendulum. You are not sure of yourself. Will I fall? Will I not fall? Depending on the circumstance you find yourself. And of course, values are lost. Values are lost when such a thing happens in a society. And you know that one of the easiest crimes to commit is zina. Armed robbery has some plans to steal, you make some pranks and plans to do commit some other crimes. There's a way you go about them. There's a level of pre-planning and caution. But zina, you can even do it publicly, nobody will stop you. That's what it shows that it's a very, it's actually spreading everywhere. In Islam, two things are put in place, strategies to actually solve this problem. Talk of making law to prohibit zina. That's the only thing. Islam does two things. One is preventive measures and punitive measure. Preventive measure in Islam, you have the Islamic provision, like we mentioned the other time. The Islamic dressing is a preventive measure because what men see, is what affects them. So what the sin of what they see makes them commit the sin. The sin of what they see makes them commit the sin. So jalbab as a cloth covers a lot of things. Then moral training of Islam, requirement of marriage and the like. Those one are preventive measures to prevent zina, lower the gaze and the like. Then punitive measure is clear in Islam. If you do zina, if you are not married, this is a punishment. If you are married, this is a punishment. It's a deterrent to prevent people from committing zina. As long as society lacks these two, definitely, you are going to have rainy days of zina. We keep on spreading as we are seeing today. It will pervade and persist. The fourth and the last background for today is Sharia law on zina. It's very hard. It's hard to establish that zina has occurred is hard because Allah just want to punish people. For example, you need 4 witnesses. Every other thing in Islam, no one requires 4 witnesses. If it's somebody want to transact a business, just 2 people are okay, or 2 women, 1 man. If you are talking about other witnesses for nikah, 2 people are okay. Only zina requires 4 shuhada that will confer, that will say it happened, and their narration must not contradict, because if there's contradiction, then another provision of the law will apply on them in the area of costful. So you can see that you have the option of not even reporting at all, than to report and equally be punished again. And look at the Prophet's time also, you realize that if we see the cases of zina were not so much there, maybe they are one that actually executed. Maybe I'm aware of 3. The case of Ma'iz bin Malik al-Aslami, who was living with somebody. He was married, he committed zina, the law was established on him. The case of Gomidiya was a woman. When Ma'iz came to the Prophet, his master said she go to the Prophet that he can show mercy. The Prophet tried to even avoid executing the law. Go back, maybe he was drunk, maybe he was mad, maybe it was this. Eventually they realized that he actually did it and he was sane before they established the law. Because of Gomidiya, she came to, that came after that of Ma'iz. She equally came on her own to confess that she did that thing because this iman was there, that she realized the evil she has done. She wants to face the consequence. We're trying to avoid that. She not, you don't want to punish me because, like, you want to punish her. Her mom is pregnant. I mean, she says, I'm even pregnant. Oh, then go and deliver the baby. Baby did not commit any crime. She went, she delivered the baby. She came again. You know, delivering the baby, that's about 8 months or thereabouts. She came again, I've delivered the baby. Oh, baby has to breastfeed. She don't suffer because of you. She can't suffer because of your own error. She went back again, breastfed the baby. She returned again. That time the baby was already eating solid food like bird. And the baby was taken from her. She was penalized for that. So that one was a case of a Bedouin's wife who a particular boy worked for, and the boy now slept with the man's wife. The case came to the prophet and it was executed. Outside that, you may not get any other case in Syria because the moral training was there. The punishment measure was there. So people were afraid. It was not a public issue that the society, the dressing, the appearance, everything was in order. And of course, the punishment was harsh too. 100 strokes, then rajm. All these things were the Islamic ways of life, where we have Islamic environment, because individuals can't just execute that. Islamic law, where you have Islamic environment, is when you practice that. These are the 4 backgrounds I'm giving today. So may Allah assist us. Now, going to the scenes and scenarios, we have 19 points here. Are we together, please?
Yes, doctor, yes.
All right, so thank you. On this one, there's an hadith of the Prophet by Usama bin Zayd. The Prophet said that ما تركت بعد فتنة هي أضر على الرجال من النساء. متفق عليه. The Prophet said that I have not left behind for men على الرجال something more trying for men, more tempting, that if that the men, for them to escape it is very difficult for them. You know, he said, out of many problems we are going to face in society, say that minan nisa, women trial. And that one corroborates a verse in Surah Al-Imran, verse 14. It says, Zina linnasi hubu shahawati minan nisa. You know, that one too, Allah says that it makes alluring to men to love women. So to love women is natural, is our nature. So when that trial is we are going to face, and that is to warn us from the trials of women, because men tend to be the major victim, and because of their nature, which we'll mention too later. Then, in the fiqh of Islam, the Prophet says that khairu sufufi rijali awwaluha wa sharuha akhiruha. The best safu row for men is when they are in the front row. And the worst row for men is to be at the back row. In a case whereby women, you have to line up close to women or behind women. Look at the psychology there. I equally said that wa khairu sufufi nisa'i akhiruha wa sharuha awwaluha. That the best safu for women is the back. In a case where the mosque is not divided. Where you have just a mosque that women see men see women, the best of the women will be at the back. But in the fiqh of some scholar, in the case where the mosque is already what you call barricaded, you can't even see men, then you maintain your front row. Then in that case, you see, look at that very hadith there. That way, even inside the mosque, there's a caution on how you should relate with women inside the mosque. They should be at the back row. But society today, what happens? What do we see today in our society as we go on today? Our functions, our ceremonies, modern gadgets, how they display women to us. All these are what we have to think about very well. And one of the Salihin, how the Salihin said, لا يخلون الرجل بامرأة ولو كانت مريم بنت عمران ولو يعلمها القرآن. So some try to say an hadith, but is basically a statement of a scholar of one of the early righteous people, which says that no man should remain in seclusion with a woman, even if that woman is mother of Imran, mother of Jesus. You know, she was very chaste, she was righteous, you know, Allah describes in Surah Tarim and other portions of the Quran. The scholar now equally said that وَاللَّهُ يُعَلِّمُهَا الْقُرْآنَ. Even if you were a woman, Quran, you don't remain alone. Look at that. Quran, you start with ta'awudh, isti'adha, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. You chance it on the way. Is the book of Allah, the book of Hidayah, the book of Nur, the book of many things. But now you are cautioned that even when you are teaching the Quran, don't be alone with the opposite sex. Even if it's the best sister, the best Now, there's a book called Every Woman by one Dr. Liz Jones, I think. In that book, it describes the effect of a man sighting a woman, because the effect of a man sighting a woman is different. You know, the nature of men's eyes are very sensitive. They are very quick to pick out, especially when it comes to do the woman. And for man, basically, when you see a woman, of course, facial aspect attracts. That was one angle there. The way she looks can send message to your heart. Just land there, bam! You start to palpitate this woman, this woman. But that one is not as effective as other things. Now, if other things now follow, the eyes will attract you. But if you have lowered your gaze, the first one you look first is that falahu. The first one you did is you don't have committed anything, but if you now return to look at it again, then you have a sin, because there are times you just accidentally look at a sister and you just feel something in your heart. Then if you don't look at it, come back again, the first one is not a sin for you. The second one will become a sin. That's another question against us not lowering our gaze. The lowering gaze is not about just looking at the floor, looking at the ground. It's about conditioning, controlling your mind. But that is one that's naturally to attract a man, but not all women look the same. Some you don't have anything to think about them. Maybe to you they are not fine or whatever you want to think about. But every man, when you see the woman's bust or breast, it's not properly is shooting out, the contour is showing. As a man, you have a feeling. You feel that you know that thing communicates sexual feeling to you for a man. Same thing with her buttocks. When she dresses and she's showing it, she's dismounting it, a man's mind communicates sexual feeling. And of course, you will now start to feel that you want to have sex with such a person. But this is what happens. They show the front part, they show the back part. Even the front part at times, they show the way it is. My brothers and sisters, fitna has actually descended. It's cascading every day. So with that situation, we now see that people now, it's like, these days, it's as if they have become delicate. It's as if they kind of the delicate part of a woman, the contours, the shapes that they should protect, which Jalbab has helped us to do. People now package it very well. They present it to us, they exhibit it to us. And that sends the mind of men into a lot of what? Transitions, a lot of thoughts, a lot of things. So with that one in place, a man becomes violent, because man is more violent towards sex than a woman. That's why you see some men, they can't resist, they want to rape, they can't resist, they run after little girls, they want to, mess them up because of what they have seen. In human body, really, there are some agents in the human body. The agents, i.e., the eyes, is a major agent of sex, your eye. If you don't see any woman before, your imagination can travel, but it can't pick something very tangible. But when the eyes is released, is opened, and the other side, they've displayed the erogenous part, they've displayed them, the eyes of men will start to glance romantically, to pick the sexual linings, the sexual labels in that person, that no matter how little, they will pick it sensitively. And the man, it will not go away from the man's mind immediately. That virus has no, what do you call an antivirus. Then that is one side. But you can't treat that one with proper dressing and gadol basor. Then the mouth is another agent. Without mouth, you smile, you toast, you talk, you lie, the way you just gyrate, you talk like that, you want to start to smile, you flow together. As she's smiling, she's shaking her body like that. It communicates more to your heart, that your heart starts to beat more. is another agent. The third agent is your ears. The ears, of course, when a man talks to a lady, she will listen. When you give your ears, you give your heart. When she listens, it's soothing to her. She likes the way he talks. She equally start to kind of explore the body of the man, the smell, if they are so close, the guy, the bicep, the triceps, everything about the man. She start to pick some things in the man. And these days, you see the happenings around today when they do all the cucumber stuff and the pranks and whatever they do there. All those things, they keep on promoting sexual orientations there. And the music too. Some men that purely love music that even when a man is not around you, listen to them, or a woman, there's a way you feel with such music that they sense you on, they turn you on, you just want to quickly explore and explode even at times. Then the palms, these are the four agents of sex, basically. Before I talk of the private part, the eye as a messenger, the mouth, the ears, and the palms want to touch, want to feel. Then, because of this thing we see, we start to fall in different sins and other things. Now, going to the sins and scenarios. The first one, my brothers and sisters, want to mention is domestic services. Domestic services. Most of us today, we are oblivious or negligent of some dangers in our homes. We tend to prevent some things at times, in some other ways, but we forget the dangers we create ourselves. In some places, we have drivers because as a driver running a domestic service, they drive you out in, they take you in and out. It could be dangerous. In a case whereby the driver take your child to school, take your child for shopping, it's a long distance trip. There could at times when they could be stranded, anything will happen. There are times when the drivers could be younger, it could be young type that depends on the kind of girls, even young. These days we talk of pedophilia really. So you can't just tell who is who. So when it does feel so relaxed, sending your wife with a driver to any place, that can do abscond and disappear and do any evil. So there was a case of a man like that, the father had just only one daughter and he's one who's always cute, dressed well, he took the girl to the school, university, returned her. But, the girl was picking interest in the guy. So really, they've been traveling all the time. They travel for long, like 2 hours journey. They go and return. At times, was taken out like that. So she has been picking interest in the man. So that used to happen like that. Then there was a day, maybe the girl was at home. Maybe he traveled. He now course to return home. When he comes back, the girl does, he wasn't expecting anybody really. So the father has traveled. Now was sent back home to go and pick some things. When she came back, the girl was not actually expecting the man. Of course, she has been picking interest in the man in her mind. But the man will know when that is happening to him, that the girl is like falling for him. So when he comes back, they open the door so free like that. She was just wrapping a towel and she just taking a bath. And before that led to them to sex. They could not resist it. So that is the scenario there. Then what is caused by domestic service there. Then the guards too at times. Some have guards in their houses, but the guards should know where they should stay. When you have a security person or a guard to be entering your house, sending your messages, and you have teenagers at home, even your wife, she may not be safe. That too in some cases at times can lead to girls or women being messed up. Also, that one is another danger too. Is even more dangerous than the other ones, whereby you have a mature house girl as house help, your husband is threatened. If you have adult teenagers as boys, they are equally threatened. And if it's a male house help who is equally of that teenage age, if whatever the age, your little girl could equally be threatened. So that one too, we have to be careful of the kind of home services or domestic services we want people to render for us. If they must render those services, there should be control and limitation of where they can reach, where they can enter, where they should not go. There should be a barrier. That one is one. Two is when the man renders help to a female, it's a good thing to render assistance to help somebody. Fine. You may start on a good note. You don't have any motive. Fine. Whether you give financial assistance, academic, assistance, is in the university environment. You're a course advisor. You encourage her. You counsel her. You advise her. She's improving well. And that's there. Then support in another form. This could lead to danger if you don't have control of yourself from either side. A woman who a man has assisted really may just feel like this kind of man I want, and she can go to any length to woo you. She can deliberately show you some part of her body. She not that she be so nude, but you just have no choice to attempt to be, to be influenced by that. And at times, you as a human being too, you interact with somebody continuously, you assist here and there. It can lead to your picking interest in the person, and you want to start continuing. And your intention, which was to actually render help, can start to change. That scene and scenario is cool. It does happen. So you have to watch out and be careful. The third one is neighborhood. In the neighborhood, yes, where you live in some environment where people live together, is my family friends, fine. So your daughter may not be saved in some situation at times, because and if they are young teenagers in both houses, they can connect. Now the parents both sides travel, they went out, the children, they have feelings. So mom and dad are not around, they can just find a way of connecting themselves and anything can happen. It's a sin for Zina at times. There was a case of a kind of family like that, whereby the man who was used to the house, so a family friend, and he knew the parents, the home he used to visit, the parents, the people there have traveled, but the children were at home, boy and a girl. So what they did was basically, I don't know that they were not around, they traveled, what they were saying, they were traveling. So we are traveling, our children are at home, help us be on the washout. Oh, no problem. Safe journey, they left. He had something up his sleeves. So as soon as they left, just go to the house, it was used to the house, play with the children, how are you? He now sent the boy on an errand, go and buy me this. The errand was not short errand though. Someone that should have bought nearby, he knows that is not available in the nearby. You have to spend like 1 hour to get it, send the boy on an errand. He now came in, a girl just like just 3 or 2 men. Just came in, tried to play with the girl. At the point, was trying to hold the girl to fulfill his, basal propensity. The girl was so smart that she escaped that day. If not because of her girl's smartness, she would have fallen a victim to the man. So neighborhood at times, you have to be careful who are your neighbors. There was another neighbor somewhere, a girl of primary 6. The boy was not, one particular tribe in Nigeria. I won't mention the tribe. She just said again, buy me this granite, buy me that thing. The girl was like, children are innocent, really. You just do things, she comes back, give her 5 naira, give her 10 naira. The girl was used to the man, and before you know, he was having sex with the girl. A girl of age 6. What will the man enjoy in the girl? You can imagine that kind of exposure. That too is a possibility in a scenario situation. Then the fourth point is unwarranted chants, and jokes, long talks with female or male is very dangerous at times for those who can't control themselves, There was a case like that whereby a particular person was just like, he went to visit a particular family like that. Unfortunately for him, they were teenagers, below around 20 years or so. The girl was a girl who was, of course, the factor was questionable in the first instance. So she was like grabbing pepper. The boy just got there, greeting her. They were just making jokes, like the normal jokes. Before you know, the jokes was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And you will not believe the boy and the girl, unfortunate for them, the girl was living with her sister who traveled that day. When I said, okay, let me pray my mom group here, pray mom group, and before you know, that was the end. The story of Zina, in that situation. So that one too, you have to be careful when you engage people in discussions. You have to be, the limitations you should not cross. And of course, you should be sensitive of something likely to happen. And Islam doesn't even condone it as such. We have to be careful. The fifth point is that alone at home. We as parents, whenever you are traveling, or you are going for a function or going somewhere, you must plan for your children at home. You must prepare them, train them to know when to open the door, when not to open the door. In a case whereby some people have, evil plans and like that. So just like the neighbor too, in this case, it's again to a girl at times may not be willing to involve in such a thing, but when someone has an evil to kind of to execute, may just come around and before you know, trick is a way in, and your girls may not be safe, or even at times they could be rapists. So especially girls, I'm more endangered here. And beside that very one again, when your children are alone at home at times, and some other person have to come around to play with them in the compounds, to do some other things with them. In the case in some countries, come and just be playing with them, watch films together, these movies, that movies, And that, of course, can lead to anything. That too, you have to be careful. Your girl, wherever she finds herself, you have to train her how to be on the alert for any such advance. The sixth point is the kind of job you do, the kind of environment you find yourself can be your misdoing if you're not very, very careful. For example, you teach in a college or university, you're in a position that people, position at times is very tempting at times that women have to come around, different types of women. This one will come, have bread, this one will come, the kind of dressing, everything. Very outside the country that people just dress anyhow too. So, and of course, that one, it could be a triumph for a man because you see on your table, this one will come in, this one will come in. And of course, at times, when you are teaching some situations, you realize that, the children there, someone will pick interest in you. Anything can happen. So you have to be careful such that you will not, through that very one, fall into the sin of Zina also. The seventh point is all-time visits. All-time visits. This one, it can be at home, it can be at school, it can be at a kind of recreation. One who has been running after you, running after you, can't just, this person is also place, track you down. When he knows that, okay, your office hour, you have closed, people, like the traffic is now so thick again, then she just want to quickly come around you. And when she comes around, she wants to just, what do you call it now? She wants just to, like, if it's a friendly discussion. So, for example, a lecturer, for example, university, I was a case of one of my friends in university. When the university environment, after 5 or 6, was in the office trying to do some, office work, trying to write something, they can just knock at the door. They get just entered, the way she was dressed, like, someone means business. Because she was so smart and calculative, we just walk her house quickly. Dance. No, not now. You can imagine if she does that kind of orientation, then have your seat before you know. And these girls, they are very smart these days. So you must be careful of all times. Don't just come around. If you are opposite sex, you just have to quickly calculate. Either both of you, some have reason to come around at times, but you must think on safety. You see, protect yourself. What you just need to simply do is walk. Let's go to where there's a public place. That's better. Or where you feel that you are not comfortable, that it's so secluded. Tell her, see me tomorrow when people will be around, or give her a time. So one has to be very thoughtful of situations you find yourself, office or home. You don't take chances. The second point is that when you sense that courtesy is becoming much, I don't know how to explain that very well. When somebody now trying to be so decorous, greeting you so well, calling you infrequently or frequently, texting you, maybe just help her with just something little, and they thanking you for those 10 naira is becoming like you're giving her 10 million. Then you have to be careful so that you don't say, this, she's appreciative and they like, then something like over thanking you. So don't just feel that it's for nothing. So you have to be careful of such. You have to be sensitive, being a male or female, that somebody you help or helps you is like to, like that. Then the next point is our things are romantic novels. These days, novels does not actually it's not common with most debates, now movies and the like, but it still happens. So when you allow your things, you don't give them orientation, you don't watch what they read, and they read romantic novels, then is a problem. The first thing to do is that it will pinch their heart, it will soften their hearts, it will open it up, it will turn them on, and they start to have their values relax, their brain relax, and that one, of course, can lead to anything. If she has read some love scenes, some love stories, they are fantasies, but she wants to see how she actually, he actually is, executes that. So that's one too, we have to know that our things, we watch what they read, what kind of novels. So that's a no-go area. But anything we read affects the brain in one way or the other. Then films and movies, of course, that one does not need explanation. They affect news, they affect, not just use everybody. And this day you can see that we're having them more and more every day. May Allah just save us. Then the 11th point is that environment with indecent or suggestive dresses. That one is OYO, on your own, so to say, where an environment is so permissive that people just wear anything goes, then that environment is not safe for a morally conscious person, because it will affect you one day. You go out in the morning, you see it, you are on the road, you see it, you get to work,
Assalamu alaikum, Ustadh. We can't hear you anymore.
The 12th point is sites. On this one, I mean pornography sites. Porn has a powerful effect on youths, especially. When they become addicted, they have become terrible. And of course, when a child goes into porn, your home may not be saved. This you have to note. Not about the child is wayward or is now this and that. Your home will not be saved when your child goes to pornography. Because if you have boys and girls, your girl is in trouble. Because the boy, what he watches, porn these days is very terrible. So when he now watches it, it's natural will be aroused, we have the feeling, and he has a sister around, maybe it's 7 or 8 or 10 that sleep anyhow. Yeah, maybe the room is not really secured as such, and you to go out, you are not available. Maybe surprised what they will do. At times both of them will have been wayward in a way of watching porns, and they won't find anything difficult in both of them having it together. You will not know. You come around, they read the Quran, they do very well, like only people who my child are very nice, they're praying Salat, but they know what they do and they're enjoying it. And you go out like this, before you know they're on the bed. So may Allah save us from such fitna. Then sexting. Youth today, sexting is an evil too. When they start to be in love, and of course, it will be from distance, but now start to send their bodily parts, send our breasts, send is these pricks. Those one too, if they have cause, they may not meet immediately, but they want to meet. So that's one too. That's after the use of the mobile phone by our children. You have to be careful on how you monitor them and guide them right on how to use that very one also. Then music. You see, music has one thing. Music is natural, really. It's a sound in nature. It's a sound you see in the universe. When you go to the forest, the scene, the birds, like that. You see those sounds everywhere. And that's why children over age 1, 2, 3, they could compose some things and be like that. And music has effects. And the music these days, most of them, they teach towards, sexual feelings, arousing it. You are my love, they just take you into a realm of fantasy, a realm of romance, a realm of feelings. You want somebody to be beside you. And beyond that now, what do? Their albums. The albums now, dancing naked, wearing something that could tempt you. The dance step is quite suggestive. The dress is suggestive. The music is suggestive too. If you're not very careful, your children are exposed to that, then it could be there's celebrities or movers, then it can affect them. So that's one too is a powerful weapon, because just singing alone, if she's addicted to listening to some music that are love package, then it will affect her. She wants to look outside the home because when time she's turned on, that one too can affect a lady, because that just music, you see, ordinary music. It will prepare the mind to go for the next thing, which can lead to Zina. Then the other thing we note here under the scenes is that living with your sister-in-law or cousin, you as a breadwinner, for example, you're a man of the people, you want to help somebody, person comes to live with you, be your sister, if it's your sister, blood sister, fine, is safer. Now, if it's elderly, if it's your what do you call it now? You have your wife's sister staying with you, is dangerous, because your natural feeling can tilt towards her. It's dangerous, it can lead to sin. That's why you have to be careful about that, how you do that. But if somebody is stranger to, you want to help living with your family, and you are living not duplex that you can separate where she stays, it could be dangerous too. So, or you allow your brother as a male, as a husband, to live with you, and you have a mature daughter, it could be dangerous. So all those things, you have to weigh it. At times you want to help, but in the course of helping, you can destroy your own home. That's why you will need a kind of a community life that will discuss our affairs with ourselves and see which one is better for us. Then the 16th point is inside the car. There are times some of us, we have personal cars, we are driving, you see a cute sister, you lift her, you carry her, and some of them are garulas, so to say, talkative in his, maybe that's before you know they're already talking, Salam alaikum, isn't that? It's all our problems you download for you immediately. If you're not conscious, brother, you just what can I say this way? Ordinarily, she's not meant to be talking like that. So that's why you have to be very careful. When you have a garula sister, that lifting her can cause you a problem, because women by nature, they appeal to our heart as men. Only Allah is saving us. That's why Allah even said, okay, this one I put your heart, take the second one. I put your heart, take the third one. I put your heart. For after the fourth one, no more go area. That should be enough. Don't become like no hamster, no sitter, no saboa. Don't try it. Allah said this is a barrier. So as a man now, sorry, you must be careful of soft talks of ladies. It affects our hearts. You have to defend and protect yourself. Not because you want to help somebody. If you know your nature is so that you can't be it. If you don't carry it, it's not a crime. So when I carry lady today, which is talks, you have some feelings towards her. Next time you carry her, then you are the problem. No, she's not the problem again. The 17th point is some men are what we call Father Christmas in Nigeria. They spend more outside the home than spending for the home. This is has a problem. Who can spend maybe $50 for her. At home, it's just $10 at home. You don't have a problem. This sister, that sister. So that thing for a man it can mean that he's falling in a way. How can you spend just a little amount for your wives at home and children? You spend so much for somebody outside to assist the person. It's likely you are having a feeling or a leaning for the person. So that one too is a temptation that the man has to guard against when you have to do more with female outside home than your wife at home. Then the last but one sin we want to mention is that of coercion of urge, URGE. This one is natural with a man and a female. There was a girl somewhere who said that she was not married. She said she cannot do for a week without having sex. She was not married. To tell you how serious this thing is, all is real. All is real. That's why when we have children, girls, boys, we should interact with them to know how they feel. And this thing, because of the environment, the music, the movies, the films, it affects them. So we have to know their sexual feelings too. Don't just condemn whatever they say. To that situation, when the urge reality can make someone to misbehave at times. Can be in the office, you may not expect it from somebody at times, just say misbehaving. The urge will just push him, propel him to do some things he don't do ordinarily that we will regret later. I don't know what happened. That's the urge. So our church goes to school, mid-school, all these public schools and the likes. So the environment, so that urge could be so strong for some at time they feel like any man will just come, any girls will just come. So that one too, we have to resolve on how to manage and handle our children with urges or we ourselves too. So that one, of course, there are many ways to that. Maybe you should not be so free, don't do anything at all. So urge is real. We have youth environment. We can organize kind of questionnaire. We can score it strong, mild, slow. They all feel it. There's a question you are going to ask that will show. Somebody, for example, say that when you see a boy, do you always like him? Can say yes or can say no. When you see a girl, do you feel like going towards her? No. Come under the urge. If the urge is it weak? Is it mild? Is it low? Is it lower? It's strong. There's a contradiction in the answering of the questions. It's not being truthful. When they feel you kind of questionnaire you set like that, you discuss with them to be sincere with it. Then afterwards, they will feel it. You now be able to know who is who and what kind of. And lastly, is all-time. I think I've mentioned that before. All-time visit. I think I've mentioned that. All-time visit. I've mentioned that before. So you're in an office, somebody come in the evening, or somebody come to you when your wife is not at home in the morning. It's in the morning, not just anything in the night. She knows your wife has traveled already. This era of internet and everything. And most of us will do this small thing. I'm on my way to Dubai, on my way to UK, on my way to this and that. Then you have given information about yourself. Just come around, knock at your door. Hello, okay, just a sister coming around. Okay, actually, before you know, and you want to be merciful, you want to be brother. When your wife, nobody's at home, my brother. Nobody's at home, only you. And a stranger house, your maharam is coming around, and you open the door for her. It's not done, no. If you love yourself, you will kill yourself. You're not very careful, so you don't need to open the door. If you want to be very polite, a little, come out, listen, and let her go away. There's no room for giving a cup of water, a cup of air. That's my position on that, because prevention is better than cure. Than to now allow her come in. You're a human being. Anything can happen. So when it happens, what will you tell your Lord? So may Allah save us on this kind of fitna. So finally, my brothers and sisters in Islam, talking of the Zina, the sin scenarios and safety. On safety valve, just like we mentioned the other time, the first thing I will mention here is that we need the mindset about Zina. We need mindset. The mindset is that Zina is real, it's happening around us. We are hearing it, we are seeing it, we are feeling it. That mindset we must have. Not that it's not possible. Don't trust yourself in this case now, because you have to be intentional about it, that it's real and anybody can fall. No angel. I have seen, I can start counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Those who don't expect that are falling. Different, even scholars. Scholars are falling, Omaleki are falling, pastors are falling. Everybody is falling for this Zina, because it's a very, I call it hydra-headed cankerworm that people fall when they don't take precautions. So the mindset should be there that it's real. And you don't think about yourself alone. Then you're married as a man. When the woman is married, her own is lesser. When she has a trial, when the woman is married, her case is his case sealed. But for man, it's not sealed, because when you go out, see young girl there, this and that. So you have to be careful. So what do we do? Second thing we do is what? Sex education. So we need to have a program on that. Islamic perspective, Islamic angle, where you get some short clips like this one, watch in Nigeria, and then there's a short something like that. A girl will watch it, she will learn something. There was one episode 2 on the Super Story, one time like that, whereby a particular girl went to Mr. Balogun in that very episode. So things like that can be used to teach our girls, our boys, some values about their future. So on a self-education program, we have clips, we have experience we want to share, we have case studies we have compiled, we have scenarios we'll create. Then we ask them to write on sin of Zina themselves, because let them write. Okay, now it could be a session. Okay, now sin of Zina session. Everybody will write his story, how it could happen. Then when you gather them together, then you can mix it up and develop it into a book, or ask them to read, or let them share the stories. So that's one too. You can raise questions on how do we avoid it, how do we fall into it. That is one. The third point is what books to read. When we read books on this issue, that are written, maybe talking about adolescent and things like that, the challenges, then some books that will charge the heart, the mind on spirituality, to avoid Zina, is go a long way to equally solve the problem. Then the environment we live, we have to study and scan it. The environment, you have to study your environment. What are the likely things that can cause your child or you to fall into Zina? When you study the environment, you now put in place strategies to avoid that kind of things. Then, for example, environment whereby it's club all over the places, you should not be so exposed to such, that they will not see people doing some things that will like. But a sin, when they use this a sin whereby sex is being, is happening, it won't go out of the brain. That's why even in the home, as parents too, don't teach children to be sexually frivolous or oblivious from home, whereby the father, the mother, a child has got to see you in the act. Is a danger. It's a danger. So you don't ever make that mistake. That she has seen in the acts. So that it's a wave in the brain that will not go for the next 20, 30 years. The child can't forget that sin. So you have to be careful, even at home, the way you do things. And matured boys in the home, mother should be careful of how she call it dress in the home too. So same the man. Then also is the formula of refuse, decline, and reverse. For men especially, offers will come. You have to know how to refuse, how to decline, how to reverse. When you observe this girl is going, what do I do? Then the 6th point is what? You know yourself. Every man, every woman must know his or herself. Don't just fake yourself. When you are assigned to do some things at times that will involve female that you feel is going to affect you, there's no crime to say you can't do it. For example, in the center, you are in charge of female, be talking to them, be teaching them, and you are teaching them and you see that it's affecting you, then you have to be very careful. There was a time I went to a place in Nigeria, Unsuka, for the MCAN stuff. I kind of lecture like that. So I was a brother that came and said that he finished from the school in Lagos, and they came to raise some questions that it was like crying that actually in his life he has never fornicated in his life. But this service here was teaching there, and also a lady was teaching, young girl like that, maybe secondary school, and love the girl that even the parent of the girl will send the girl to him, giving it was the extramural classes and the likes. But along the line, he could not resist trying to take advantage of the girl, kissing, romancing. So the only thing that did not know is sex, which, as I said, as he told me. So you can see that how certain things can go. So one has to know oneself and be careful. And the last but one is PMA, positive mental attitude. So we need to teach our teenagers, our children, to have the mind that I will get married one day. What's the big deal? I should not destroy my future. My future one is my future with Allah. My future is my future. So what should I now? Because when you become a parent, you tell them you want your child to equally do evil, to go into this kind of love stuff and be fornication about. So you have to pray mind. It should be strong in that feeling that I don't need to, I can't fall. I can resist myself from falling. But there could be exceptions whereby some have desperation or urge that you feel you have to look into, conscious. Then last one is dua. Dua, of course, is a way by which we put all our problems to Allah as parents, put this in prayers, as youth put them in our prayers. So these are a few things I have for us today on the phases of fornication in modern times. We'll talk about the backgrounds. We mentioned 4 points there. And of course, on the sins, we mentioned about 18. And of course, on the clue or the safety valves, we mentioned just 8 or 7. We ask Allah to make our task easy for us. Our brothers and sisters over there, may Allah come to protect you. I know it's not easy, but as Muslims, all the environment belongs to Allah. So when you stand by Allah, Allah's rope, Allah will not leave you alone. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا Ustadh. أحسن الله عليك. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase you in wisdom and knowledge. It's been a very, very insightful session. I've benefited immensely and my notes are full. I'm sure everyone's notes are full as well. So I don't think I need to summarize anything. I think it was well presented and alhamdulillah, I'm sure we all listen attentively. So in the next 10 minutes that we have, inshallah, before we let our stars go, if that's okay with him, we could take some questions. So if you want to ask your questions directly, please do raise your hand using the Zoom function. And if you prefer to write it down on the chat area, please go ahead and do so. For those watching on YouTube as well, if you have questions, please do write it in the chat area on YouTube, and inshallah, we'll try to get those questions answered. Before we go on to the take questions, if there are any, just one announcement that I want to give today, like we did last time. Our summer conference is fast approaching. It will be coming up between the 5th and 8th or 9th of August. So it starts on a Friday and it finishes on a Monday. It will be in the UK. For those of you who want to join us from Nigeria, you can get your ticket. We are more than welcome, inshallah. So it will be in a new venue, and this will be the first time after 2 years of COVID that we've been doing them online. We are going back to face to face now. Unlike the previous ones that we're doing in Markfield in Leicester, this one is going to be in a big place with a lot of activities, a lot of fun activities that has been dedicated mainly for the youth and for the adults, for children as well. So we have different sections that we are preparing for this camp. It will be very, very interesting. There are surprises for us as well, things that we've never done in our previous camp. So there are a lot of things that we put in place for this camp. And if you ask me, this is a mini holiday for you, where you learn your religion, you socialize with your fellow Muslims, and at the same time you enjoy yourself. If you ask me how much this will cost, if I told you it was £500 per person, I think you'll believe me that it actually is worth it. But it's just £130 for those who are above 12, and for those below that, it's £80, and that's inclusive of accommodation, feeding, and all the lectures. So you can imagine it's really, really subsidized. Please do register as soon as possible because the spaces are limited as well. So that's the information we have for ourselves. The theme for this year is in the shade, in its shade, meaning the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. How can we get to that shade? Do you want to be amongst those that will be under the shade? You need to attend the conference to learn, inshallah. So I think we have a few questions to start. The first question, which I will go on to the chat area before we go on to the because I think the question on the chat came first. The question goes, what does infatuation have to do with zina? Is infatuation forbidden in Islam?
Okay. Infatuation, of course, is a feeling one has when one sides the opposite sex, you feel like touching the person, you feel like you love the person. So, but at times it may not last, it may not be real. But just because something you see in the person that you just like, you just desire. So maybe the way he dresses, maybe the way he talks, maybe the way is gifted, that could attract to the person, but it will not be real thing that you love the person. So that is natural with everybody. But the point there is that this talking of real marriage, infatuation it can be a step, but it could be confirmed and really know whether it's real or not. So that's you done by the process whereby you know, okay, this person who is he? But I know more about the person. So infatuation is a temporary state of love that may not last. So, and that's one, but sometimes rush into marriage via infatuation. So that's when the marriage will not even last at all. Just realize that what even saw was not real. It's not, you don't even love the person. It does, but love should be natural based on some clear premises. This person is honest, is kind, those things should be clear. If you know something about the moral background of the person, that can make the love to be real. And just because he's a public speaker, he's a beautiful boy, he's a beautiful girl, but he's a man of the public, they're going to be with me at home. At home, he can be a different human being. So in such a situation, the marriage may not last. So infatuation, yes, a stage in love, but one has to be, Islamic process is that you pray over it, you consult and the like. So those are the guy who, the consultation you make is the shara, the what they call now, the prayer, the sahara you equally do. All those processes will let you overcome the infatuation, something. Allah.
So just to clarify, Ustaz, the issue of infatuation, I think you've mentioned when we are actually thinking about nikah afterwards. What in a situation whereby the infatuation could lead to the negative, committing zina, if we're just thinking about it and not actually acting upon it? I think the question I want to know, is this a sin in Islam?
It's a sin, really. One thing is that if it leads to zina, it's a sin. Sin is sin. No matter it leads to zina, is sin. Allah has given the one la taqrabu. La taqrabu mentioned the last time. It involves your continuous thinking about it and getting closer to the person. If you are now falling into it, you have caused it yourself. But if it remains in your brain thinking about it, it will be a sin in a way, but you have not fallen into the sin itself. The conversation within the fantasy will start, imagination will start, and that can lead to other things. So because it can lead to other things, one has to purify the mind from such a factor. But when you just think of evil, you take out of your mind, it's not yet a serious sin. It's not becoming regular. You think about every time, to take your time and the like. So that one, God at times think about it. One could get turned on, you could get doing some funny things at times, So one can lead to their being masturbating and the like. So that situation is becoming a sin in a way or the other. So I think if one doesn't fall into the zina, then it shouldn't be a sin majorly. But just into other things, it will be to that extent as a sin. But just take on, I feel like going to that very girl, you just take off your mind, then that one is you do istighfar and you go on.
No. Let's take the question, the answer. Dr. Neima, please, could you ask a question, please? Can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, sorry, I was trying to unmute. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you for the great talk. It's just two things I wanted to maybe make some comments about. One is regarding how we talk to the children. You mentioned about sessions or programs about sex education with a proper Islamic slant. I just wanted to also say that there are some tips that parents can give their children on a day-by-day basis, both the fathers and the mothers, that are very helpful. And of course, this needs them to be comfortable about talking about their development, about urges, about sex, and all those important things. So it was really just to bring that to our attention as well, that we shouldn't wait until there's an actual program, that these children will live with on a day-by-day basis. Us as parents, both the moms and the dads, have had a way they have coped with life up until then, up until they got married, and to help share that with the children, so that part of our tarbiyah isn't only reading Quran or how to dress and all that, but that very important thing you talked about, recognizing their urges and not shying away from it. And culturally, it's not something we might be comfortable doing, but it's very essential in this day and age. So that's the one thing. The other is around the confidence that we instill in our children, especially the girls, but also the boys, in being able to recognize a situation that is not ideal, or to let them know, to inform us or any other adult if anybody is making advances that are not okay. But of course, they need to be able to recognize in the first place what is not okay. And again, that comes to us having sort of bred it in them on a regular basis. Even advances like you talked about, little things, somebody being a bit too friendly with a younger person, either boy or girl, they are vulnerable and they might be a little shy or not so confident to either resist or to speak up. But if we let them know that this sort of situation is something they should speak up about, and if somebody is making an advance they're not comfortable with, because some of these people are predators, they might say things like, do you think I'm going to something, or do you think no, they should turn it around and no, I don't think anything, sir or ma, but I would rather, either not carry on, or maybe you come back when my parents are around or something like that. Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khairan for that comment, inshallah. There are a few questions here, Ustaz. We go through them very briefly because I know the time is well spent. The first question is, how do we deal with situations where parents want their sons to get the sister pregnant before actual nikah? I wouldn't want to call it wife. So the parents want them to be pregnant before they actually do the nikah. How do we mitigate this issue?
Of course, Islamically, it's not allowed, it's unlawful. It's a culture in some place, part of the world. So we just kind of ignorance. We need to be enlightened that the affair was that let us be sure that the man is going to make a fruit of the womb before we proceed. No, Allah is one that does that. So if they say that the man keeps on testing running, and for maybe 5-6 years, nothing comes. So what a kind of waste and torture for the girl. So it's ignorance. It's not allowed in Islam. Just a kind of, we have to enlighten them and let them know that it's not real. And the girl must not fall to that. She will not just because that one now make her feel, okay, let me honor my parents. No, in this case, you have to honor Allah. No, one should not bow to that kind of wrong notion. Allahu Alam.
The other question, I think you've answered it during your lecture, but I don't know if you have any further comment on that. What's the role of watching or exposure to porn in all these cases of zina?
I can get it.
What is the role of exposure to pornography in all these cases of zina that,
It's okay.
You get that?
What about porn?
Yes. What's the role of porn, pornography?
Pornography is terrible. In fact, it can lead one into zina. It can weaken one's spirituality. It can make one to be violent sexually. You just want to fulfill. It will make one to live in fantasy. It can destroy one's future in the future, so to say, because the fantasy you will have been used to may not be real when you get married. And that, of course, will shatter the home. So, and that, of course, and then it can lead one to be a gang. So those who are, they belong to different clubs and gangs. So before you know, join the gangs, other things can follow. So it can lead to one to go into crime too, gang raping and the like. So porn has a lot of evil effects, spiritually, morally, socially, and even economically. So you burn the data and the like. So it's evil all around. So one should avoid it.
I mean, yes, you mentioned, Ustaz, about the issue of courtship. We do know that courtship is not allowed in Islam, and you mentioned that you don't know the person before marriage. So how then can we ensure that we know the person and we don't rush into marriage, and at the same time you don't want to do courtship in Islam? So how do we juxtapose between these two dilemmas?
It's very straightforward in the case of the organized community. Our problem today is because we live in an isolated community. We live in a scattered community that everybody just do things their own way. In an organized community, for example, now I have a daughter, I have a son, we know ourselves. We are married within the circle of those we know. That's the Islamic approach to marriage then. Whereby you marry my daughter, I marry your, my own marry yours. That one you need to start finding out what kind of person. I already know the father. I will have known the son before then. That's so easy for the companions to marry. You see one going to Ali, you see people going to this. That's what happened then. But these days now, where things are not the same, we need organizations or communities that will be in charge of that. Because Islam in Sharia, the principle is to prevent crime, to prevent sin. So courtship tends to promote it at times when people who want to do it, they are youngsters, they have their feelings, and it can lead to anything. So that's why it's not always good, to go into it. So what they do is simply, whereby you don't have such community, then you meet somebody, then you don't have to be alone. Let somebody be involved. Maybe a particular matured person, either a female or a male. This is what I have in mind. They will not give you the guidelines. Okay, do this, do this, do this. And it's not always good that you keep yourself so long, because when you get, attached to somebody, the feelings to be rising. You feel like the danger there. That's why it's not good to delay marriage when people are already attached or brought together. And our danger this day, it's not like those days that some of us were able to go through some things. Their own is different. We have to help them go solve the problems on time. So that's just the approach. Knowing a man with courtship for 2 years doesn't mean you have known the person. Once you get married, you do the real thing, you are living together. That's when you know the person, not because he was kind, he was nice, he talks fine, he's generous. When you get inside the house, you know the reality of generosity and other things. So people make that mistake of marriage. No, you don't know the person until you have married the person. And that's reality. Even at times, some you know them until after 5-6 years. So we should not make that mistake at all. Allow them.
Jazakallahu khairan. I think that's the last question. I've just gone
Right.
to YouTube. There wasn't any question on YouTube, no question on here as well. And nobody's raising their hands. I think at this stage, inshallah, we end today's session. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our ustaz and increase him in knowledge and wisdom, and to provide for him and his family, and to, inshallah, there's a question. There's somebody raising their hand. I think we'll take that last question. Okay, Masatu to Habibatul Khairiyya. Faddal.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. Imam, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ sà, nǹkan tí a tún gbọ́ náà ni wípé wọ́n ní nǹkan tọ́lọ́run bá ní ká má ṣe yóò ní a má ṣe ni. Ṣùgbọ́n Ọlọ́run ní wala taqrabu zina ni. Wọ́n ní Ọlọ́run ò ní a má ṣe. Báwo lè bá wa ṣàlàyé ẹ̀ báyìí náà sà?
Last week, last zero time. Arabic language.
Ustaz. Ustaz, if you could translate that question to English and then answer in English as well. I think the person.
All right, no problem. English, so the question is that the question I guess English. Can I get it in English too?
Yes.
Beautiful. So the question is that the Quran. Some people opine that Quran chapter 17 verse 36 says that 32 says that don't go near zina. That Allah says don't go near. Does not say you should not do it. There are different things. Don't go near. Don't do it. So that means you can do it. So don't go near. It's a distorted philosophy, really. So the Quranic understanding, just like the verse of Nikai to Muslims, there are some scholars believe it's 2 + 3 + 4. It means artful. This is what is it means and it's confusion. So in this case now, what there is a Quranic method of forbidding things. And I mentioned last time that in the Quran you have similar things too. Don't go near the wealth of the orphans. Then as to Adam too. Don't go near the tree. So Allah is the word. Don't distancing yourself from something makes it more forbidding for you. It's a preventive measure not to fall a victim and not to do it. So the word that takrabud here, because Quran is speaking about from now till when the world will end. So Allah knows technology will develop. There will be Facebook, there will be YouTube, there will be Snapchat, there will be this, there will be that, and there will be more later too. So that very terminology, that very statement has covered all those. Don't through the Snapchat, don't through the video call, don't through the this thing. All of them are things that draw you to it. So it's not that you cannot say don't do it. How can you do it? How can you do it without going here? It's confusing. So the real meaning is that Allah says that since you cannot go near by talking, by doing anything, then you can't even do it. So it's only when you go near that you do it. Those who will do it will have gone near. You can't just pick a woman and just say, let's go inside. You'll have talked, you'll have spoken, you'll have smiled, you have shaken hands, you'll have hugged, and that's it. So Allah.
Jazakumullahu khairan. So inshallah, For those who want to register for our conference, I've just posted the registration link on there. So we end today's session. We say Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Jazakumullahu khairan, Ustadh.
وأنتم شكرا. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.